kicking off part 5 of our GoldenEye 30th anniversary special, we chatted to the Oscar-winning special effects supervisor Chris Corbould about his time on many Bond films. But he said one of his favourites was GoldenEye.
I have a soft spot for GoldenEye because it was my first film in charge of the special effects, and it was a real mission to make sure that Bond was still relevant, because there'd been like a 7 or 8 year layoff while the court battle's going on.
Okay, this is a piton gun, a very specialised gun given to Bond for a certain mission. That's the piton that goes into it. This piton fires into a rock from the gun, and has a reel mechanism which sends a line out attached to the piton, and the reel winds him into the rock. Also has a laser attachment on the top, which upon being activated will burn a hole through a steel grill, so he can actually get into the nerve gas plant where he has to get to.
You know, it's like in GoldenEye, I got called in to see Michael and Barbara and Martin Campbell, and they said, look, we're really not very happy with this motorcycle chase, you know, how can we improve it? I said, well, why don't you get rid of it? You know, and umpteen motorcycle chases in the last few years. And they said, well, what can we do different? I said, well, he starts the whole sequence in a military parking zone. Why doesn't he steal a tank? Well, that whole sequence came out of that one conversation. So it's, you know, that was my job to upgrade that particular sequence. You know, I didn't want to see another motorcycle sequence. And then that's as original as I could think of, really.
Well, it's fair to say, Chris, you upgraded it and then some.
Yeah.
Large vehicles must undergo intensive testing.
This is a T-54 tank, which we are working to do stunts and special effects in St. Petersburg in Russia. There are many modifications that we've made to this to enable us to do the stunts and the special effects, and to allow us to run over cars, go through walls, and all the other spectacular things. And basically, this tank does whatever it wants to.
Well, the funny thing was that once the idea of the tank, the ideas that came from all directions about what we could do with it. If we'd have shot every single one of them, we'd still be shooting it now, because there was a potential of it having a snorkel and going under the river, and it just opened up a lot of avenues. And you know, everybody said, "Oh, well, it would be so much faster than the tank." Well, how would the tank ever catch it? And we worked on the theory that the car is faster, but the tank can go through things like walls and buildings, and that's what we played on, really. Never ever got sort of left behind. It would take a shortcut and go down a narrow alleyway and come out the other end and take the end wall out with it. So we had a lot of fun with that sequence.
So in a script, would it, like that, like the GoldenEye scripts, would it say motorbike chase and then not so much detail, and it'd be kind of a case of let's speak to Chris and see what he thinks? Or do you sometimes get it presented to you where they know what they want, and that makes you've got to somehow give them what they want? Or do you come up with the ideas mainly with a blank canvas?
Well, I can't help myself coming up with ideas. If I'm not totally happy with what's in the script, I badger them and wear them down until hopefully we get something. For me, it was always blowing the baddies' lair up at the end of GoldenEye, the end of so many Bonds. You know, it's normally £1 million, £2 million set, and you got one go at it.
Yeah.
You have to try and work in lots of contingencies. Like, you know, if you get a few wires that burn somewhere, I mean, obviously everybody does everything they can to damage limitate those sort of problems, but you have to have so many layers in place that if that bit malfunctions or doesn't go off, you don't ruin the shot. It keeps it going, and there's nothing there to still make it spectacular. It's second guessing really all the time, and goes with everything. You know, you've got to have a contingency plan 1, contingency plan 2, 3 and 4, you know, because you can never tell. It might be weather that messes you up, might be whatever reasons. You know, you always want to second guess things going wrong.
Martin Campbell, I'm sure you rate him high. We all rate him as a brilliant director. But then, of course, after that, you've had Mark Forster, who was completely different. And I don't know, what was your working relationship? Was it quite different on those films between the two directors?
Yeah, I mean, Martin's a firecracker. You know, he's a million miles an hour.
And so Bond will exit As he exits through to them, let him blur through frame there, which will be my reverse cut. So he's kind of ducking as he comes through.
And incredibly organised. You know, he'd get us in on the set at 6 in the morning, the key HODs before everybody else arrived, and we talked through the shots for the day. You know, he was super organised and really, you know, hyper. You know, he was behind the camera, he was acting out all the firing and all that, you know, while it's all going on. So yeah, a million miles an hour, Martin. I love him to bits. Lots and lots of energy.
While we've got you, Bobak, our resident car expert, just let's mention, well, the tank. We haven't even mentioned the tank, have we?
Oh yeah.
And the tank, the BMW, the Ferrari, little
The
plane, train, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bond in general as a series, they know their cars. Like I was watching License to Kill recently again, and like Sanchez, and Sanchez is, I think, you know, in the end sort of chase scene, he's in a Maserati bi-turbo, a great car for the era, and again with GoldenEye, yeah, you see a Ferrari F355, considered one of the best like 90s Ferraris. It's a great Ferrari for its era. You've got the DB5 come back for the first time. I feel like with Craig, they kind of like rehashed it so many times. You know, like Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die, and you kind of sort of get it as a celebration of Bond's previous car, if that makes sense. You know, he's enjoying it now. He's got the champagne, he's got all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
James, you're incorrigible.
you've got the BMW, and I think I kind of understand when people sort of don't like the BMW era for James Bond, but I think when I retrospectively think about it, I think it suits Bond because some of his other cars arguably are a bit too flashy and in your face. And to me, the BMWs and the Z3, which is in this film, is a great example of that. Is stylish but isn't too flashy, which I think works for a spy. You know, it's not too in your face. And that's the same for the BMW in Tomorrow Never Dies as well. I still think maybe it's a bit of a shame they didn't use the gadgets, but they had so much going on in the film that I don't think it detracts from the film. But I controversially think that the BMWs were a good choice for Bond. In the same way I think Lotus was a good choice for Bond when Roger Moore was about. It was a refreshing, you know, different take on sort of what a Bond car should be. So yeah, and obviously the tank chase while I'm here. What a great chase!
Yeah,
you know, just I don't have any other words to say really. A great chase is all I'll say. It's just
on the Aston Martin thing, though. I think that's right. Until really Skyfall, I don't think there was really sort of thinking that the DB5 was always Bond's car, because in those days they wanted to keep modernising and updating, creating new iconic cars, didn't they? The fact that it was in this film wasn't really. It was mentioned a bit, but it was like, oh, the Z3. That people were more interested in the Z3 than the Aston Martin. So I think it goes back to a time when marketing was differently, and now Aston Martin are heavily involved, aren't they? Which is good. And hey, we've had some other brilliant Aston Martins, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the collection, and of course the Living Daylights one returned for No Time to Die. But yeah, I do like the idea that it's his personal car, maybe, which they have sort of run with.
Yeah.
Because like it's his personal car in terms of like the way it's set up, but like as Bob was saying, like a spy would have, like, I keep referencing Tomorrow Never Dies. He's a banker. That's why he's driving that car. You know, like I remember a banker would drive. You know, like it's not, and like yes, it's killered up to the hilt with all the gadgets, and what a scene once again. But like the era they were going for 100%. Like they keep the Aston Martin separate. We get an action sequence with it. It's still in the action, but it is his own personal car. I like the way they did that 100%. Yeah, I agree. But I just comment very briefly on the tank chase. That is what a scene. That is so good. And like just even like seeing on a page, like Bond is in a tank chasing the body through St. Petersburg. It just sounds so good, and the way they carry it off, the way he's spinning around, he's busting through walls, he's always keeping up pace, with the whole chase. I just love it, and for me, it epitomized Brosnan with a bit where he just fixes the tie and just drives on. It's just this pure Bond for me. It's just so good, so good.
Is it the first time when Bond adjusts his tie on screen? I think it is, isn't it? I can't. The only other time was Skyfall, so Daniel Craig copied this. Typical.
Yeah. Well, he's lined up underwater.
Yeah.
Then he did that, but it was always Pierce's thing.
Yeah. Maybe the odd Roger Moore like after a fight or something, but not like that.
David Brent does it a couple of times. But I think it is a shame that you're told about the gadgets of the Z3, and it's quite an iconic car, and you never get to see it. And I think that's a valid criticism, and I know this is a celebration. But I mean, they just had so many other incredible action sequences that it's like, how on earth do you fit it in? Yeah. And I think on balance, I'd rather that and have a tank chase where Bond is in a tank smashing through St. Petersburg, which is an absolutely brilliant sequence. And we've never seen that before, but it's so incredibly Bond that that he would steal a tank, and that's the vehicle he would choose to go chasing after the villains and Natalia. And then it comes in handy when he's then up against the iconic Soviet train that looks like, the front of it looks like Sam Eagle, the Muppet, the blue, but it's just, again, I think the tank chase is a bit underrated.
Yeah.
It would, if which one's GoldenEye, you might say the one with the bungee jump.
Yeah, bungee jump.
The one with the tank chase might be should be that one, shouldn't it? Really?
Bungee jump is rated accordingly, and is absolutely brilliant and iconic. But the tank chase, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I think it is a bit underrated, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. What an idea! What a sequence! Bang on again. Absolutely brilliant.
So good.
I can't disagree in any way. I couldn't underrate the tank chase. I think it's unbelievable. I think people of this era and people who love, it's all dependent on what you think of as Bond, isn't it? If you're very much into I'm the understated spy work of the pre-Cold War, having Bond drive around the city in a tank is going to be far too lowbrow for you. Yeah. But get a life. Because this is pure entertainment. This is what you want Bond to do. To quote Trevelyan, Bond, only Bond.
Yeah.
Only Bond would, at the end of the day, drive through a city in a tanker, would then place that tanker on a train track, fire it onto a train, get out, and then go on the train. Only Bond does that. Yeah. It's a definitive moment for me. I think when when you had the videos when you were younger and you had that kind of montage of all different films and it was like an advertisement, that scene was all over it. When I think of Bond and I try and describe it to friends who maybe haven't seen Bond, or my son, let's say, this would be one of the 5 scenes I'd describe. I'd be describing, he jumps off a cliff, and when he jumps off a cliff, the Union Jack comes out. Or his car goes underwater. Or he drives an army tank through a whole city. And these are the ones that I'd be doing it with. And to me, and I've gone on about him on many podcasts before, it's only complemented by the fact that you've got Oromov in the car up front having a nervous breakdown. Just trying to get away because he's just killed Michigan. He knows he's in trouble. He's drinking whiskey. He's in complete meltdown. And he thinks, I've got to get away. And then this agent comes with a tank. I mean, it's almost like nightmarish, isn't it? That you're trying to get away from some, and then you've got this behemoth behind you, just like catching you up. But we're on the perspective of the chaser.
Yeah.
And
that's different.
It's unbelievable. It's class.
I was thinking, you're listing those things of telling your son what makes Bond. Just, holding a woman crying, sucking her fingers in the shower. No. Right, that's
Just an amazing Bond scene, and for me, I always think of Oramov, that the sheer look of unbelievability on his face when he sees this tank with a statue coming towards him. It's so that character is so good at the expressions and the the way he looks at, as we mentioned earlier on, looks at Xenia when she's got the gun and she's having a meltdown with it, and it's such a it's what we expect to see in a Bond film, the big chase scene. Again, it's that blueprint. It's what we want to see. And this is the first time Bond has ever been in a tank. And it just fits so perfectly, with the film.
We had the privilege of talking to the late Alan Church, who was a visual effects artist on several Bond films, including GoldenEye, where he tells us about working with the legendary Maurice Binder.
He came and said he was doing GoldenEye. So he went off and that was it. We didn't see him for ages, and we started working on it. And my first experience on that was a first week. So 7 Eyes set. I was there for 1 unit, and second unit I was doing back projection because we had a back projector as well, which is the old technique. Well, now people call it virtual LED screens and whatever, but there was a time when you actually projected film on a screen with the characters in the foreground. But it sounds very simple, but it's not. Because you have to light it correctly. You've got to get the exposure right for the background. You can't have the shutter out of sync. There's loads of things. And you had 2 techniques, front and back projection. So the 7 Eyes set, a lot of those graphics were back projected. So they were there, they weren't screens and things, and especially the app, which is the line where the 7 Eyes the satellite was.
Oh yeah.
That's the back projection. So I was behind about 120 foot behind that screen. They'd only recently converted the factory to a film stage, but it was leaking just at the point where the projector had to be. But bless him, Peter Lamont constructed a bounce mirror thing where the image came in, hit the mirror, and then bounced another off a prism off to another thing. So I could do it at a right angle, have the projector at a right angle where it wasn't raining. And so I was doing like the first few days of a new Bond movie, A New Era, with Martin, who was very nervous. That brilliant director, but very different way of directing to Ian Sharp, who was the second unit director. And I was working, 20 hours a day on that because I was doing main unit and second unit, and that was my first experience on that on at Leavesden, and then. We did some of the miniatures of the satellite sequence and things like that later.
Brian Smithies was responsible for so many of the special effects on the James Bond films, right through to Pierce's final adventure, Die Another Day. But here he tells us all about the making of those effects and miniatures for GoldenEye.
When it came to things like GoldenEye, which actually, when I watched it recently, there's quite a lot of model work in that, isn't there? There's the satellite dish. There's obviously the aircraft and some of the vehicles and things. Do you have any stories from GoldenEye?
Oh yes, yeah. Again, we had a tiny crew. I think there were 16. Built all the aircraft. There was one chap built the tank. Did a wonderful job of it. Absolutely beautiful. It was a museum piece. I kept trying to get him to hurry up because I knew we'd never see any of it.
Yeah.
He built his model and then I came along and splashed paint all over it and took it down to the set to shoot. And it didn't quite work. Derek wasn't happy about the explosion. He gave me the box of bits and said, Brian, can we have this back for 3 o'clock this afternoon? And there was a box of, shredded. And fortunately, there was enough of the basic shape of the tank that was left, which we could then lash everything onto. So I'd get back up to the workshop, and lovely chap, very, very talented model maker. He took one look at this box of stuff and said, that better go in the bin, I think. And I said, no, Derek wants it for 3 o'clock this afternoon. He laughed and said, I started off saying, how long will it take to fix this? He said, about 3 to 6 weeks. So Derek wants it back on the set at 3 o'clock. He laughed. I said, no, I mean it. He said, "You can't mean it." So I said, "Look, I'll give you a hand." And doing all the things we used to do with Thunderbirds, where you'd sort of make good with a bit of plasticine, drag it over the top, a bit of gaffer tape over this bit here, because it's got badly burnt or gone. And then finally give it a spray of paint, took it down on the set. To be honest with you, it looked more believable next day when we saw rushes. It was there by 3 o'clock. He couldn't believe it.
Amazing.
But that's what you do in Thunderbirds. So it was a brilliant training ground for what is needed for the camera.
Yeah.
Rather than how beautiful the model looks. A perfect model, if you look down the side of an airplane, it ripples. Or a ship, it goes in and out where the waves have bashed the shapes. So that is the thing you try and paint into a model. When we got that tank down there, it looked fantastic. Next day in rushes, it looked more believable than the model.
Right.
So it's a great training ground with Thunderbirds. The train, by the time they'd finished dressing a train up on, they were using a steam line up near Peterborough.
Yeah, Neen Valley.
Neen Valley Railway.
Only Bond.
He's going to derail us.
Full speed! Jump! Full speed! Ram it!
They had this Russian train to go, and it was all clad with steel plate and everything else to look the part. And it was too heavy to go on the track. So we had to build a model. Probably would have had to have done that anyway, just to hit the tank and blow up. They couldn't have done that really full size. Well, they could have, but it wouldn't have been a happy result. The MiG fighters.
Yes.
And we had a man from the ministry who came down and said, "We've had complaints that you've imported a MiG fighter illegally." And we had this brilliant scenic artist, Brian Bishop, and he'd painted 3 MiGs, MiG-29s, and he'd done them on the ground, and he drew them out with a bit of charcoal and then painted them in. Had the riggers stand them up outside the door where they were going to be filmed, where the pilots would rush through out to the planes. And you wouldn't know those weren't real planes.
Their best response time is 19 minutes. They'll be late.
And this chap from the ministry came down. Oh, no, first of all, he looked out of the window of the workshop, looking down on them, and didn't realize they weren't real planes. And he said, "There they are, they're down there. I can see them." So I took him downstairs. I opened the door where they were, that looked out on them. And I said, "There they are." He said, "Yes, I can see them." And it was only when he went up to them and in effect almost touched them that he believed that they weren't real. That was a brilliant painting.
Yeah.
And then
amazing
scene on top of the mountain where the
we drive up.
drops over the edge.
Yeah.
Well, that scene we actually shot as a tiny scale miniature, the building and the background around it. And again, Brian Bishop painted the mountains, and you wouldn't credit them as being anything but the real thing. That's just painting. And the model, of course, was a tiny scale. I think it was probably 72nd scale. It was tiny.
Wow.
And we shot that, and then had a photo cutout put on a glass, and then cut out to line up with a bit of live action set that had been built down on the end of the runway at Leavesden. Obviously, Bond couldn't go out of the cutout bit.
Yeah. So
that was clear glass. And he could run along that bit, which was the runway, the width of the runway, plenty of room. And then you see him running it down the runway with the Pilatus porter and, the motorbike bit and all that. And that's a tiny model that's just been stuck on a glass and has the runway cut out. All the rest was painted or model. And a huge saving. And then the little airplane, it had a wingspan of about that much. It doesn't mean anything.
No.
It's a wingspan of about 7 inches or something, 6 inches. And that was the one that flew over the lake.
Right.
And it was on wires. And so you can get away with quite tiny things on models.
degrees south, bearing 184.
Yes, sir.
Nothing. There is nothing here.
Let's make another pass.
The other thing, we built they had the huge 7-hour dish. You had, I think it was 14-foot diameter, and of course far too big to fit on a lorry. So we had it made like orange segments. And this was hand rolled by a chap down who used to do racing car bodies. And he hand rolled it in aluminium. And then it all popped riveted together, and you couldn't see a seam almost. Well, you could see the seam, but it was so perfect. It was unbelievable. It makes life easy when you've got someone like that. Obviously there, foreground, live action, middle distance was model, and in the background you had a dog sleigh running along. Oh, yeah. And that was live action again. And then behind that you had painted mountains.
Absolutely. The snow, isn't there, obviously, in that scene? Does that probably helps, does it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, yeah. It unifies everything.
Yeah.
The thing that worried me about the snow was it's Epsom salts was what we were using, basically. Sacks and sacks and sacks of it. And it was the wettest winter we've ever had. And I felt terribly guilty about little voles and shrews that lived in the ground under where we were working, because, of course, Epsom salts is a laxative. Then you had the big Puerto Rican dish.
Yes.
No wonder we couldn't see it.
And most of that was, apart from the actual live action up in the rigging, most of the stuff on that was done on a model which we produced on the back lot. And that was spun in concrete, again by plasterers. And they spun this huge diameter disc, a sunken disc into the ground, and then lined it.
He's getting ready to signal the satellite.
How do you stop it?
The transmitter above the inter.
And again, it had a painted effect on it to look like the same as the Puerto Rican one. Because originally, the art department wanted me to, have a proper wire mesh dish. Well, of course, it wouldn't have been workable. Couldn't have worked on it. Because you had to go in and set things and take the overhead gantry down and work on that, repair it or whatever. And so we decided to paint it. The chap who painted it was Brian Bishop, who did this great job. When we did the final, we had the columns rise up hydraulically, and the final bit where the helicopter comes up to the dish, the overhead structure, and flies off again. All that was done with very small models and tiny figures. Rolling down apart from the close-up ones, the figures rolling down the dish again were about 3 or 4 inches tall.
Oh, so good. What? There's loads of miniatures then in GoldenEye, aren't there?
Yeah.
Loads of them.
Oh, yes. No, they're an awful lot.
The helicopter as well, the main, what's it called?
Yes. Well, the French hadn't managed to get the real thing flying yet, so we...
Yeah. So yeah.
No, I think they'd probably just managed to get their prototype off the ground, but we couldn't blow it up or anything. So we had to do it with models. hurricane parachutes coming down with the two figures and things like that. Now that was all model.
When Bond yeah, right.
Oh, the train, of course.
Yes, yeah.
The other thing I just wanted to brush on, if it's okay, is the marketing in this particular film as well, in GoldenEye, because on the back of that, we were inundated with that much merchandise that we have not seen the like since. If you think about Casino Royale, there's hardly anything that was sort of bought out other than really poker chips and, you know, that sort of thing. But there was everything with GoldenEye. It was everything. Figures, cars. They just went to town, and you don't get that anymore. Yeah, I mean, for a merchandise sort of collector, it's like heaven to me. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. And you don't get those tie-in movie books anymore. The making of, or you just get books with pictures in. You don't get any words now, which is one of the things. One of the Daniel Craig books I've got, it's just pictures of just of the scenes. So yeah, it just absolutely everything it had got for me. Brilliant, just brilliant.
Vicky, did you have the replica Walther?
I do have a plastic Walther, yeah. And yeah.
Because we had the GoldenEye tile one.
I've got some GoldenEye handcuffs.
Oh, right.
Well.
Oh, damn. What, from the
Xenia?
Possibly most of my collection is GoldenEye, because there was such an absolute raft of it. It was just, you amazing. You just don't get that level now.
Even like, I know, Calvin Dyson and others have got the GoldenEye credit card type thing that you lovely the slot into. The production design as well. You haven't mentioned that. I mean, it's pretty iconic, isn't it? Layers we've got.
Yeah. GoldenEye is definitely a Bond film that I hold in very high regard. You know, I just think it's got so much going for it. You know, ushered in a whole new era. You know, so much good in it. You know, Brosnan definitely hits the ground running. He's fantastic. You know, Sean Bean is a worthy adversary. The Gales are amazing, as well as Skorupko is. I just love how. I just love Isabella Skorupko, and Famke Janssen just goes for it as Xenia. And like, there's so much going on. I'm happy to celebrate this film because it's an all-timer for me. And
so GoldenEye at 30. I mean, for so many people about my age, so I'm 42 now, for so many people in and around the ages of, I would say possibly 39 up to, 60, I think that this was seismic, absolutely seismic. Changes for the Bond world had already been taking place, obviously, tonally taking place 6 years before with License to Kill. But then, I think what this did after the break was drag Bond into a whole new modern world, a modern look. The look, I'll never forget when I first saw this the first time, this trailer, because obviously we all remember the promotional materials being so strong, and the goosebumps when you saw that trailer for the first time. I couldn't picture Bond being so contemporary and current and so unbelievably exciting. Obviously I'd loved Bond all my life for its excitement, but then seeing this, oh my word, the sense of jeopardy and the scale was just out of this world. Brosnan looked like the most perfect fit for James Bond. And it just, it literally had everything you could possibly want. I think this is one of the greatest moments of recovery. Not so much recovery, I think re-emergence, that's the right word, re-emergence. One of the greatest franchise re-emergence moments of any franchise there's possibly ever been, I think. Because just it took Bond into a very present day setting. Everything that we knew and loved was there, with a harder edge. Bond is a real cold-blooded killer in this movie. But all the ingredients that you absolutely love are all present and correct. So it's just an absolute sort of triumph. It's perfect. Martin Campbell absolutely smashed this out of the park. It's a joy from start to finish. Desperately exciting. The effects are absolutely amazing. And again, you know, I know that there's been quite a bit of, you know, when we were doing the fights rundown recently, there's some comments about, you know, oh, isn't the back projection here bad? And isn't this bad? This is, you know, we're talking about films from, you know, an era prior here. And in the 1990s, this was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. And amazing model work as well. I had no idea any of this stuff was models until way, way later. Arguably, I'm still finding out that certain things were models and I had no idea. So it's absolutely superb. I really, really love it. I think Brosnan was born for it in this. He's absolutely sensational. Couldn't think of a more swoon-worthy version of James Bond. Sheesh. Well, you know, they're all not bad in that department. But I even really like, you know, I know Eric Serra's score gets talked about, but I really like that too for its uniqueness in its place in time in the Bond canon. So this is just, and it's such a shot of pure nostalgia to watch it again. But not just the kind of nostalgia where you go, it's like looking back at something seismic that happened in your life, like a kind of, oh, do you remember that? You know, that kind of nostalgia. And that is why GoldenEye will always have a seriously special place in my heart. Not least because first time I watched it was with Thomas John Pickup and Daniel Lees at the Pillsworth Cinema in Bury on the night of Tom's 13th birthday, possibly. And the excitement was just, don't know whether it'll ever be topped.
I did a quick poll in the WhatsApp about where would you place GoldenEye in terms of ranking it in the series, and the options would be, you know, it wasn't like you have to name it 1 to 27 or whatever. Just top 5, top 10, mid-table, bottom 10, bottom 5. Only one person put it in the bottom 5, and it's David, and I think he did it as a joke. I'm not going to accept that vote. And then famously, Carl isn't sold on GoldenEye. He put it in his bottom 10. I don't understand it. 3 put it mid-table, and then 38 had it in the top 10. Yes. And of that, 26 had it in the top 5.
Oh, yes.
So that is absolutely, massively, overwhelmingly one of the all-time favourite Bond films. I know that's just a straw poll of about 40 to 50 people, but that's a very varied selection of people's views on other Bond things. But nearly everyone seems to come together on this film, which is great to hear.
My top 3 are From Russia with Love, GoldenEye, and On Her Majesty's, and I think I'd probably place GoldenEye second. I feel like if there was never a Sean Connery who did a Bond film, and I don't know, somehow GoldenEye was the first Bond film, it does everything absolutely right. It's everything that you want a Bond film to be, and more. And it surprises you. It's got emotional elements. It tries to, like some of the others say, play a bit of a twist on the formula, yet stays true to it. You know, respects different elements of it. Yet pushes it to a new era. It might be unbeaten from then on, to be honest with you. For me, I don't think it's been matched since then.
My 2 favourite films of all time are License to Kill and On Her Majesty's Secret Service. GoldenEye and Living Daylights fight for my 3rd favourite Bond film of all time.
Casino Royale's dropped, hasn't it, famously?
Sorry, mate. Casino
Royale's dropped, yeah.
Casino's 5th, World Is Not Enough is 6th. But and then Rush with Love 7th. But we're talking like, sorry, I'm tangenting, but we're talking 20 plus of them are in my top 100 favourite films ever. So, you know, context. GoldenEye and Living Daylights are like always competing at that level. And I'm speaking tonight, and I'm thinking, oh my word, GoldenEye's number 3. But then I go back and think about Living Daylight. I say, oh no.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, like, firstly, what an era we were in from 87 gold, Living Daylights, License to Kill, GoldenEye, it's unbelievable stuff in it. GoldenEye is more timeless than those two, though. I do think, and I adore those two films. I think there is something about it that is very 90s, but very modern now and very relevant now. I really feel that, and I can't put my finger on why. Maybe some of it is because we're in an era now where we're celebrating this period of time. You think of music and the Oasis phenomenon and all that. Not the mid 90s at this moment is seen as a real brilliant period. And I think GoldenEye is one of those reasons because it fits in the whole thing that Vicky says with the marketing, with the gaming that all came with it, the whole Bond phenomena that came with it. It is a period of time. But a lot of the times when you have these things with periods of time, sometimes things can get swept up in them that aren't necessarily all that great, and it's the hype that carries them. But that is not the case here. What you've got here is you've got substance of an incredible film that is so very Bond, but so very Bond in a modern sense as well. You've got unbelievable allies, unbelievable villains, unbelievable locations. I mean, the idea of going into Russia and all that. I
They
love.
filmed there as well, didn't they? That's
They did. They
I can't
actually
believe it.
filmed there. But and the contrast that you've gone from Monaco, which is such a Bondian location, to Russia, which is, but in a completely different way. It's more that kind of spy era, and then you go to Cuba, which is this like it's obviously it's not Cuba what it's filmed in, but the idea that you've got this really amazing Caribbean island, but with the communist ideology there as well. It all complements each other. Natalia's one of the best Bond girls. Xenia is one of the best femme fatales. Trevelyan's one of the best villains. Oromov is the best second villain for me. I mean, I obsessed with that guy. All those things, the tank chase, the bungee jump, all of that means that the things that some people could have criticism on, i.e., the score or whatever like that, I don't care. I don't care because it's like grabbing a piece of paper with a one dot in the middle of the paper and saying, "What do you see on the paper?" And everyone goes, "I see the one dot." Okay, you see the dot. Can you not see that the other 99 out of 100 of that is just glorious white paper? And I think that that's what we need to do. When I know it's a very Brentism, but I know we need to actually like look at that at GoldenEye. Say, oh, but the Sarah score. No. Let's look at all that goes round it, and then it pales into seeing significance with that, and that's why I love that too. The game goes with it. The fact that you've got a game that complements it, and Brosnan, is outstanding. I mean. It's my favourite look of Brosnan. It's my favourite. I don't favourite performance. My favourite performance is World's Not Enough. But what a look! I mean, who wouldn't want to be that man in this picture? Campbell does an amazing job. It's just class. It's unbelievable. I'll shut up.
We'll be doing a series on best Bond hair eventually.
Well, we know who wins.
Yeah. The Skyfall buzz cut. Yeah.
So my top film is Goldfinger, followed by From Russia with Love, and then it's GoldenEye.
Right.
Purely for the fact that it is pure nostalgia for me because it starts. It wasn't the start of Bond because I used to watch it, with my family when it used to come on bank holidays and Christmas. Yeah. But it was. I even saw License to Kill. I managed to get in to see License to Kill at the cinema. So. Having that gap, it was like, oh, this is the moment. Bond is back, and it just brings back the whole 90s thing for me because I'm a massive 90s person. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. It's just nostalgic.
So good though. You were there. You saw it. Lived through the gap and all that.
This was really special being the first Bond film that I saw at the cinema. The first, as I said before, the first new Bond film. Like there was a new Bond film that was being added to the Bond canon. Also, the period. How good was this period? I don't know whether people feel the same. After a film had been on cinema, then the wait for it to come out on video. And I remember it, suddenly seeing I think we used to check all the time, but suddenly seeing the poster was on the video shop, like, whoa.
Oh,
And our friend Daniel
birthday.
Bauer, his birthday party was, a sleepover, but like he'd written on the invitations, we will watch GoldenEye. But then actually he'd then, because he's our friend from church, when we were in the Sunday school, he was writing to us quotes from GoldenEye because he hadn't seen it at the cinema.
Oh yeah.
And then so we did actually watch it. He brought it round on a Sunday afternoon and we watched it. But it's just such a special time. The game, as you say, I know it came two years later, but how much that has enhanced the whole thing. And even when you watch the night before the Christmas film, one of the things in that is they go and play in Anthony Mackie's mum's house because he's got a he's got a N64, and they're like, "Oh, can we play GoldenEye?" Or and that's how much in the sort of cultural zeitgeist this film and game are. This was a time when James Bond wasn't, it was the thing where, Matt, that's something, you like, those old films. And then suddenly there was a new one and, my friends liked it, my peers liked it, and my peers liked Pierce. Like he's their Bond for some people. And my mate George, who I met at uni, just obsessed with this film. When we've been on nights out, when we got back to his at like 3 a.m., on the sofa, like we just put this on as soon as it gets to the title sequence. I think we're absolutely, but it's something that I think transcends Bond a bit, this film and everything about it. I think people who aren't massive Bond fans like this film and obviously love the game. So, and I do think there are some elements that are underrated about it, but as a whole, the film is rightly revered and held in high esteem, and that's certainly the case for me.
Yeah.
Is he your favourite non-John Glenn, Matt? Or On Her Majesty's? Or...
On Her Majesty's might be, but
yeah,
but possibly, yeah. But then I don't like not having Sean and Roger, So, but and I struggle with rankings, but it's got to be up there for me.
Sean, we know you love it, but
seriously,
yeah,
yeah. Like everyone is just touching everything. I would say as well. It's just so good. Brosnan is my Bond. I know we'll get into it through the computer game and then fell back into, but I grew up like I'll never forget the excitement. I'm jumping ahead a wee bit, but the first Bond film I seen in the cinema was The World Is Not Enough, and you see the excitement of the 6 months previous was in the newspaper about different clips of what they're doing. That is just brings me back to a time just before that when I was really experiencing GoldenEye for the first time. It's just so good, and 30 years later, I still adore this film. Probably for me, it's going to be probably number 4 or 5 in my whole rankings. Like the best Bonds compared to the favorite Bonds. Like my favorite James Bond film ever is Tomorrow Never Dies, but that's just because it's Pierce Brosnan. It's just so good. But GoldenEye is just right there. It's just for me. And I came along the wave of a whole new maybe generation of Bond fans, and it's just so relatable. John was saying earlier, like you can quote this every day of the week, and somebody will know it or somebody will pick up on it. There's so much about it, but just like we spent this last 2.5 hours just talking about this film, and you just go over it in your head. There's so much action, there's so much character, the writing is excellent. I'm a fan of the score, but like this. I take your point earlier on. Like this is a blueprint, and like the amount of people you talk about now, and I won't bash Daniel Craig. To be honest, we just finished a retrospective of Daniel Craig, and it's a celebration as well.
Yeah,
it's so good. But everyone you talk to, the one Bond to go back to an M scene, a Q scene, get the mission, bang, he's on the road and he's out. That's GoldenEye, off to a T. That's probably the Brosnan era for me. But that's GoldenEye. GoldenEye was just reminding people of how good this stuff is, and 6-year sort of wait. And the questions of is Bond relevant? Is he for the 90s? They nailed it with this here. They just put it right back front and center. This is the James Bond everybody loves, and we're going to remind you. I've heard different reviews of different people saying, "Oh, it's a Bond by numbers and it's the greatest hits." That's what we love. That's what we want to see, you know. So for me, it is, yeah, Brosnan is just so good in the role. As I say, he's my Bond, so I'm going to be biased. I do love it, but it is so good. And 30 years later, it's a celebration. We love it, and people are still talking about it. It's so good.
I need to know your top three. Sorry, just Sean, just while we're at it, I can't do it.
See, I'm very torn between favorite and best. Like, Her Majesty's is number one for me, and then I have to say Casino was probably rightly up there. But if you're putting a gun to my head right now, just throw on Tomorrow Never Dies all day long.
Brilliant. So good.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, yeah, I can't believe that it's been 30 years, because it is such a formative time in my life. You know, teenager at school, discovering films in a new way. You know, at first you just used to watch films just for entertainment as kids. This was maybe one of the first films I read about the production of it when it was coming out, and learnt about the actors, what else they'd been doing in, heard the song come out before the film, and then to have the film, as Matt said, on cinema, saw it twice, which I'd never seen a film before twice at the cinema, then to see it on video, then to buy the video and just watch it over and over again. Then the game, it was just, we will never get a period like that, will we? We're hoping, though, we're going to get the new Amazon era with First Light, films. You never know. But I think Sean hit the nail on the head when it's that it is a new generation of Bond fans. And maybe that's why some of the old stuffy ones don't like the fact that it's so popular. Because it did create a new type of Bond fan where Bond was everywhere. Everyone loved Bond. Bond loved being Bond. And it was not ashamed to be the classic tropes of James Bond. Yet we've gone through it tonight in real detail. And it's a lot more complicated than that. It's a lot more sophisticated. The plots, the characters, the character of Bond is explored, but in a different way than he had done before. And yeah, 30 years on, it's still holding up. That really pleases me. It hasn't gone away. And I think it's a really good introduction. I think people talk about the Mount Rushmore, don't they? But more in terms of, if you don't know anyone, if someone has never seen a Bond film before, you'd probably, you could show them Goldfinger, Spy Love Me. GoldenEye's got to be in the conversation with me for that. Tomorrow Never Dies as well, Sean. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can all agree it's a classic film. And thank you for everyone who's contributed tonight. I mean, nothing else to be said other than greatness of GoldenEye, really. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.